The cold waters of Newfoundland are home to a remarkable couple. A pair of orca dash through the ocean and breach into the air without a care in the world. They are inseparable, taking selfies together, frolicking through kelp forests and rubbing their flanks. Their love for each other is amongst the strongest in the animal kingdom. In their company, it's easy to forget that orcas are one of the most successful predators in the world's oceans. From the Arctic to Antarctica, they use their size and intelligence to tackle any type of prey. For a species that can kill a baleen whale, it should come as no surprise when Jaws finds itself ambushed and airborne. Witness to this sight are whale biologist Rachel and fisherman Nolan. So awed by the spectacle, he attends one of Rachel's lectures on these majestic animals. Being a businessman, he takes special note of the Free Willy test footage and sees a payday.
How much money do you think you're going to get for him?
Enough.
Nolan.
Meanwhile, the orcas rejoin their pod to cruise the surface waters together, unaware of the danger they are now in.
We're off to the races, boys!
Without the protection of Sea Shepherd, Nolan has a clear shot. He misses the male, only nicking his dorsal fin. The female is not so lucky, the harpoon having been driven deep into her body. In self-defense, she rams the boat. However, in her desperation and haste, she misses, colliding with the propeller, lacerating her body. Weakened by blood loss and in shock, she puts up no fight as she is winched aboard. The stress is almost too much for her to bear, so to preserve what's left of her energy, she aborts a gestating calf. The male witnesses the PG-rated horror and wails. Having committed itself to vengeance, Orca rams the boat with such a force that it takes on water and the crew is injured. Sensing the danger keeping the female on board poses, they free her, but not without getting a preview of Blackfin.
I'm okay! I'm okay now!
It is, however, too late. The female having finally succumbed to her injuries. The pod swims alongside the male in an act of mourning and solidarity. This behaviour, captured on film for the very first time, is a potent reminder that a death for any social species is a traumatic event. It also prompts humans to consider the negative consequences of our actions towards nature. Otherwise, we all might end up with a whale's head in our bed.
Oh my god.
Nolan has retreated to a small fishing village so he and his crew can lick their wounds. However, Orca follows. Unable to attack directly, the bull uses headbutt on the moored fishing boats. It's super effective. It spooks Nolan, prompting him to bury the female. Rachel meets up with him and thinks he needs some further education on the animal he's so viciously attacked.
Thanks. Whales and dolphins in science and mythology. In celebration of the world's least known intelligence. Must be a book about me.
He attempts to socially bond with Rachel, displaying self-deprecation as well as laughter to ease the tension between the hunter and conservationist. Before they venture to a local watering hole, the alpha fisherman approaches, informing him that the orca is waiting for him at a nearby quay. The two males square off, each trying to assert their authority over the other. Nolan keeps his distance, knowing that one false move and it could be all over. Orca uses his ability to spy hop to keep his head out of the water for an extended period of time, allowing him to stare into the drunkard's soul. Eventually, Nolan is psyched out, having a vision of a personal tragedy. Nolan retreats to his man cave and reads the book Rachel gave him. As his understanding increases, he undergoes a remarkable metamorphism of his character.
I understand what that whale is feeling.
Because the same thing happened to me. My wife was pregnant. She was driving to the hospital alone. A drunken driver came down the wrong side of the road and hit her. He killed her. And he killed my baby.
Orca does not reciprocate his sympathy and continues his revenge. He displays his mastery of shallow water hunting by expertly hopping to break exposed fuel lines. Next is an isolated lamp. Separated from its herd, it becomes an easy target. The fire spreads to the remaining boats and the local fuel depot, inflicting great damage to the town's fishing industry. Knowledge of how to use fire is an incredible achievement for any animal, especially ones that live in the water. With their livelihoods ruined, the townsfolk are determined for Nolan to leave by boat to draw the Orca away from them. To do this means being witness to one of nature's rarest sights, disgruntled Canadians.
Hey there. You want to fill her up and check the hood? I'll get the air.
We're all out.
Of air?
Air, gas, oil, anything.
Haha, look, who are you fooling? I just saw you put some gas in that car, bud.
It's breathtaking. Meanwhile, the Orca targets Nolan's man cave. Using his immense strength and bulk, he smashes through the supporting timbers like toothpicks. Buckling under the strain, the house tilts violently over, sending a crew member sliding uncontrollably towards the water. With the house turning into the Poseidon adventure, effecting a swift rescue is essential. With a final rush, the woman's leg is ripped away from her. Nolan, overcome by grief and anger, starts yelling in a behaviour primatologists call chewing the scenery.
You revengeful son of a bitch. You win.
You want revenge? Well, you'll have it!
At daybreak, the boat leaves the harbour, the fishermen using their superior numbers and passive-aggressive stares to prevent any last-minute retreats. Nolan and Rachel follow the Orca, and together they migrate towards the Arctic Ocean. As they press ever northward, they pass what appear to be icebergs. However, looks can be deceptive. Using Criticam, we see that Orca is able to move it quite easily with a nudge, a seemingly impossible occurrence. Instead of ice, it's a huge chunk of plastic, the result of millions of movie props being carried by ocean currents and fusing together into lightweight blocks. They pose a threat not only to sea life, but also to humans, as Orca sends one hurtling towards the boat. Just before it strikes, Nolan has a stab at killing his nemesis. He's too late though. Even though it retreats in pain, the plastic berg has enough momentum to pierce the hull. Nolan and Rachel abandon ship and end up on the pack ice. As they run across the ice, Orca punches holes to wrongfoot the pair. Nolan retaliates with gunfire, missing the mark each time. Looking for an escape, they scramble up one of James Cameron's hand-me-downs. They're not getting away that easily. Now isolated and surrounded, he is extremely vulnerable. Being supremely adaptable predators, Orca can get Nolan in the water any number of ways. He opts for an unorthodox belly flop technique. All that is left now for Nolan is to receive his punishment. He's struck by the powerful fluke and flung into the air, and lands hard on the ice. He slips beneath the waves, a victim of a prolonged hunt that could have easily been avoided if he simply walked out of town. Content with its revenge, Orca says goodbye to Rachel and swims off, having overcome this traumatic trial of life.